I think the most impressive thing to me about Taiwan coffee culture is the richness of the culture itself and the sophistication of the consumers and the depth of knowledge in the roasters.
Great quality coffee are mainly focused in 1,000 to 1,500 meters above sea level. So the land restricted is very restricted.
Hello and welcome to Connected. I'm Divya Gopalan. It's dark, it's bitter, and most people refuse to start their day without it. Including me. I'm talking, of course, about coffee. Over the last 3 decades, the world's most popular beverage has taken Taiwan by storm. And remember, we're talking about a country with such a strong relationship to tea that the word tea even comes from Taiwanese Hokkien. So today on Connected, a show entirely fueled by coffee, we welcome 2 experts who will tell us what's brewing in the Taiwanese coffee industry and how the changes in beverage culture and habits came about. Joining us from Taipei, we have coffee tester and entrepreneur Simon Hsieh, who's also the founder and president of Soaring Phoenix Trading Company. And from Berkeley, California, we have Kenneth Davids, editor-in-chief and co-founder of Coffee Review. He is also the author of the recently released book, 21st Century Coffee, a Guide. Thank you both so much for joining us. Kenneth, I'm going to start with you and ask you to briefly tell us about your coffee journey and how it started.
I decided to go into some kind of business, and since I loved cafes and coffee, I decided it should be coffee. So I founded a cafe and coffee house. It was the second one established in Berkeley. I loved the coffee part, and I didn't, in the long term, I didn't care for the business part and being woken up late when I thought I was free by somebody calling me about a broken refrigerator and so on. So I sold the cafe and I had a little money, and I decided, since I was a writer, and I would write a book about coffee. And I wrote a book called Coffee, a Guide to Buying, Brewing, Enjoying. It was published a long time ago in 75. Actually, I was in kindergarten, figure that why, if you're trying to count up the years. And
you're a very smart child.
I was very precocious. And I owe it all to coffee, actually. So I wrote the book, and it was a success, actually. It went on to 5 editions and sold for a modest book quite a few copies, about 250,000 over the years. And it really helped set the pattern, the myth, the kinds of commitments and belief systems of specialty coffee. I think that's quite a statement, but I think that's true because it was the only book, and it was so widely read at the beginning of the specialty coffee movement in the United States. And so and I brought out 2 other books later that weren't quite so successful, including Home Coffee Roasting, which sold quite well in Taiwan, I think. And I eventually started Coffee Review. And through all of this, I think my passion was that to try to turn coffee into a genuinely respected beverage that was subject to connoisseurship, to refinement, to higher prices, and more respect for the producers, and so on. And in other words, that coffee is not like wine as a beverage, but to turn it into a cultural phenomenon more like wine. And that's always been my mission for myself.
Simon, I'm guessing when you started drinking coffee, I guess tea was the more respected beverage here in Taiwan. What made you start your journey?
Oh, okay. Actually, my journey begins at year 2000. And that was the first year after I graduated from the university. And I worked as an editor of high school textbooks by then, yes. And it was that job that made me need the coffee more than ever. And as I drank more, I began to compare the taste of different coffees I had. And thanks to this, I kind of figure out what I like and what I don't like. Then I joined a group of friends who were also interested in digging into coffee more in Taipei, also in year 2000. Then we practiced brewing techniques and finesse the techniques together. We roasted the same task green coffees and compared everyone's results together. We discussed how to control the different styles of roasting devices and try to figure out the corresponding control settings. And also, by the time I switched my occupation to the coffee industry, end of 2000.
Right, so as Simon mentions, coffee is a relatively new craze in Taiwan. Starbucks only opened its first location here in 1998, but by 2021, Taiwan had the highest concentration of cafes in the world. According to Statista, in fact, in 2020, the local Taiwanese chain Louisa Coffee had more locations across Taiwan than the international coffee giant Starbucks. A number of Taiwanese and foreign chains are also getting in on the action, but it is worth noting that you can get a decent cup of coffee at nearly any convenience store in Taiwan, which would dwarf all of these chains combined if that were included in the statistics. However, coffee consumption in Taiwan seems to have plateaued in recent years after the drink's rise to popularity in the 1990s and 2000. And now to you, Simon, as we were saying, Taiwan has one of the highest concentrations of coffee shops in the world, but people here still drink far less than in Japan or Korea. Why is that? And as we saw that it has plateaued somewhat, do you think this is the maximum coffee Taiwan people will be drinking?
I believe the reason is very complex. The major reason is that in Taiwan, there are too many options. Like our convenience stores sell a variety of many beverages, like tea drinks or other drinks. And also, we have many bubble tea shops on the street, right? And so people have too many options, so they don't necessarily to drink coffee.
So, Kenneth, your book, 21st Century Coffee, has a chapter titled Analytic Coffee Atlas, or several chapters looking at different geographical locations. And you talk about how India's Arabica is underappreciated, China titled Going All Out, and Taiwan is titled Tiny but Bustling. What makes a bean travel, and can you see Taiwan's bean traveling on a global scale?
I think the most impressive thing to me about Taiwan coffee culture is the richness of the culture itself and the sophistication of the consumers and the depth of knowledge in the roasters. But as far as the coffee growing in Taiwan, I think it's a very interesting and valuable sort of enterprise because it's growing up. The coffee production is growing up in the heart of a very sophisticated coffee consuming culture. And so I think, I don't know for certain because I haven't spent enough time in Taiwan to make this judgment, but it seems to me that must be having a very positive impact and in the development of the sophistication of the producers. So I think the problem, of course, is volume.
And given that Kenneth's already outlined one of the biggest problems is volume, is there room for Taiwan to become a coffee exporter?
For Taiwan, I think we have already exported some nice quality coffees to the United States and also to Japan. but the volume is always very small, like saying like 1,000 kgs each year.
Kenneth, what makes a bean travel? What is it the marketing, or does it come from just the narrative of the bean, or is it more about the actual quality of the bean that gives it that extra mileage?
I think all of those things. I mean, it's the quality or the distinctiveness of the bean, whether you can tell it apart from a standard Columbia, whether it tastes different and exciting, and which is a little different from pure quality. And I think also the story. So Taiwan has a interesting story, all small producing origins with a kind of unique country story are very attractive, at least to the coffee industry in the United States and Great Britain. So it has all of those things. It's just that the Taiwanese like it. They buy it, and so there's not much to be sold. But it's respected, Taiwanese coffee.
Right. So even though coffee was only introduced to Taiwan in the 19th century as an export crop, it's now dripping into local culture. Shubhampal brings us this story of how one local community is finding new ways to get involved in the coffee grind.
It's break time at Huanan Experimental Elementary School in central Taiwan. And instead of heading outdoors, these students are staying in the classroom to play a unique board game, especially made for them. The one-of-a-kind game was developed by the school.
这个历程当中，让孩子理解这是一个产业的一条龙，所以孩子在这个过程中，他学习到我在每一个阶段，我都可以好好的做好这个阶段，最后就可以成就一个很好的产业出来。但是如果都是用课程口说这样，太无聊了，太 boring 了。所以我们想说，如果可以有一个游戏，可以让孩子来玩。
The game is called What's Coffee in English. But what's coffee got to do with this elementary school and its students? In a word, location. It's right in Yunlin County's Kukeng Township, the home of coffee in Taiwan.
古坑咖啡是台湾的咖啡的原乡，其实有更多历史的考据是更早之前，在日据时代之前，其实台湾就开始有这样子种咖啡的，只是可能没有那么广泛的被知道。
The students get first-hand experience on how to grow coffee. They also learn about the challenges the farmers face in Kukeng.
Knowing that he met a challenge that he couldn't sell his coffee well. So that we brought our student back to classroom and we discussed how to solve this problem. And then we discussed that we can make a trademark for him. So and then we sold this coffee to little markets, so that we can make some money and then back to our community.
Ultimately, the elementary school serves as a bridge between the coffee farmers and the local community, providing both with ways to support each other. Just as the school students make the winning moves on this board game to carry forward the township's coffee legacy, the farmers in the plantations of Kukeng are brewing up Taiwan's importance in producing the world's most popular beverage. With Sivingling, Shubhampal for Connected.
And you can watch the full feature on our YouTube channel or the TaiwanPlus website. Kenneth, this is a question to you. Can you explain what the issue is, or is there an issue with blending coffee beans? And what makes a coffee bean special?
Well, perhaps with the blending question, perhaps it was business people dealing coffee in which they were calling it Taiwan coffee and blending in coffees from other origins. That's what's happened all the time in Hawaii with another small volume elite coffee. But blending itself, of course, is it's the roaster or the coffee seller has an advantage with blends because the blends you can brand a proprietary blend, and by balancing the ingredient blends, the contributing beans, he can produce a consistent product that people come back to. But for somebody who really cares about coffee and as a beverage and looks forward to a unique or distinctive cup, that's not a very good approach because we like to have single origin coffees.
Simon, you're also a tester. What is it that you look for when you're testing a bean to give it a high rating? And do you look for, what is your take on blends?
When I evaluate the coffee quality, I treasure most about the aroma and also the intensity of the flavors. And also the most important is the sweetness. If the coffee tastes very sweet and very strong in aroma, I think it's a good coffee. And on the contrary, it's not. Yeah.
Why can't Taiwan produce more coffee in line with demand or to even become a global provider?
Taiwan's land for coffee growing is very limited. Mostly the locations that can grow great quality coffee are mainly focused in the 1,000 to 1,500 meters above sea level. So the land is very restricted.
So, Kenneth, I want to go to a topic you also touched on in your book, and that's about sustainability. Climate change may significantly cut coffee production by the year 2050. Are coffee producers worried, and is the industry taking steps to prepare for this?
Yes, to both of those statements. Climate change has already wiped out at least two industries. The Zambia coffee growing and Malawi coffee growing, they no longer produce coffee because drought, and they have to just only produce food because they need to eat. And so it's taken away the coffee. I think with Taiwan, it seems to me, maybe Simon can speak to this too, but it seems to me since Taiwan is fairly far north in the coffee growing belt, the Tropic of Cancer goes right across the middle of Taiwan. And it seems to me that the cooler temperatures probably will sustain coffee growing in Taiwan longer than in many places that are closer to the equator. But at any rate, it's a major issue.
Simon, from what you know, is Taiwan preparing for climate change and the impact on coffee growing here?
Right now, it's for coffee growing in Taiwan, it's not so obvious like those happened in other origin countries. But I believe that someday it will happen because right now climate change is almost a global issue, and Taiwan as the northernmost origin country of coffee, and I think maybe in the future there will be some change. I believe, yes.
Right. So although we've been talking about coffee, Taiwan has historically been a tea export powerhouse. But as tea drinkers are getting siphoned into the coffee crowd, the tea industry is under pressure to innovate. Rebecca Huang, the executive director of Taipei Tea Merchants Association, tells us more.
We don't really say that tea, like people drinking tea more. It's just like the way the way is changing. Like in the traditional way, the people use like loose tea leaf and use the teapot to a way to drink it. It's definitely like being taken over by coffee for sure. But there's like a different way to have like beverage drinks now, and it contains tea or use like tea to the material to make it, like bubble tea, like tea bags, like those like plastic bottle tea in the like consumer stores. Or milk tea powder stuff that's all contains with tea. So it's just like the way is changing, not the traditional way to drink it, but it's just people have like more choice on the beverage. But tea is not being like left behind or being like replaced by coffee. It's just like people have more choice and people drink it a different way now. So you can say like coffee take over tea in like price way, because like the new way to drinking tea, the price is definitely like drop, like it's lower. So the cost of it is lower, but the quantity not necessarily taken over by coffee, yeah.
Simon, what do you think is the popularity of coffee in Taiwan? Is it just about the caffeine hit? What is it that's making it overtake tea?
Actually, I believe it's a price factor. Right now, many convenience stores join the war, right? And they offer some coffee lower than 100 NT dollars. And that helps a lot on the spreading of coffee drinks to ordinary people. In the past, drinking coffee is like a luxury to only the wealthy groups. But right now, thanks to those convenience stores and the chain stores like Louisa and Kama, they provide many very approaching price ranged coffees.
And moving beyond the price, Kenneth, you are the co-founder and editor-in-chief of Coffee Review, and among the things your site does, you rate coffees. 94 points and above is outstanding, and in fact, Simon Hsieh, your aroma roast coffee hit 94 points. But more broadly speaking, what does it take to be an outstanding coffee, Kenneth?
Well, I think the 2 points that Simon brought up earlier are important. The essential sweetness, in other words, that the bitter element, bitterness is important in coffee, but if it's too much of it, it's not good. And so a natural sweetness and intensity and complexity of the aromatics. I mean, aroma, taking that as aroma and flavor. So I think those are two probably of the most important factors. I mean, we take into account mouthfeel as well, and we like a mouthfeel that is smooth and that is silky or syrupy, as opposed to a kind of a thin or chalky kind of mouthfeel as well. But so those are some of the elements that come into play. But we also like a coffee that is distinctive, that is a little different from a standard cup, because connoisseurs like to taste something different, and it gives them something to think about and talk about.
Simon, you spoke about competition for coffee here. Like you said, there's bubble tea and then all other different variations. Are you seeing coffee evolve in the same way we've seen tea have to evolve to keep people interested?
Yes. Actually, the coffee beverages, they have already begun for several years. Like in the world level competition, World Barista Championship. In this competition, all the baristas, they need to create some signature drinks using coffee. And that created many different types of coffee beverages already. Yeah. And so these type of beverages is quite popular to people.
And Kenneth, we're running out of time here, but what is the next big thing in coffee that you're seeing in its evolution?
Well, I think there's a couple things. One thing is that in the United States, at least, is the growth in ready-to-drink canned coffee. In the past, the canned coffees would have other ingredients, particularly like a kind of dairy or milk and sugar and chocolate and so on. But now there's a trend towards really good single origin coffees, just black in cans. That's something new, at least at the high end of the market, I guess that's something new. And there's a lot of, on the more popular market, there's a lot of interest in bubble coffees, excuse me. So they're bubble cafe lattes and bubble this and bubble that. You know.
So that's something Taiwan can certainly take at the helm and at the forefront and fuel that market. Thank you both so much. I'm afraid we've run out of time. Kenneth Davids, Editor-in-Chief Coffee Review, speaking to us from Berkeley, California, and Simon Hsieh, founder of Aroma Roast Coffee and Soaring Phoenix Trading Company. Thank you both for your insight, and I hope to meet you both one day for a coffee. And for our viewers everywhere, it has been good to have your company. If you have enjoyed today's episode or have anything you'd like to add to the dialogue, join the conversation on our social media. And remember, stay informed, stay engaged, and stay connected.